The first thing Jack remembered was the taste of blood in his mouth. He woke sprawled on cracked pavement, his cheek pressed against the yellow dividing line of a deserted road. His head pounded like a bass drum, and when he touched his temple, his fingers came away sticky with half-dried blood. Where the hell am I? The town around him was silent. Not just quiet, empty. The kind of silence that pressed against your eardrums like cotton. The buildings stood intact, but abandoned, their windows dark and hollow as dead eyes. A rusted Chevy sat in the middle of the street, doors hanging open like it had been dropped there mid-chase. And then there were the others. 5 strangers, sprawled along the road like discarded dolls. A woman in a nurse's scrubs, her fingers twitching. A teenage boy with a bruise blooming across his jaw. An older man in a priest's collar, his lips moving in silent prayer. And the footsteps. Somewhere in the distance, the slow, deliberate click of shoes on pavement. Getting closer. Jack's breath hitched. We're not alone here. They gathered in the diner, the only place that didn't feel like it was watching them. The nurse, Sarah, had found a first aid kit behind the counter. The priest, Father Callahan, had tried the phones. Dead. The kid, Danny, just stared at his hands like they might start speaking to him. And then there was the cop, Reynolds. Big guy, built like a linebacker, with a badge still clipped to his belt. He'd been the first to say what they were all thinking. "This isn't right," he muttered, peering through the diner's blinds. "No cars, no power, no people. It's like the whole damn town just..." A shadow moved across the street. Not an animal, not the wind, a person. Tall, thin, standing perfectly still in the mouth of an alley. Jack's blood turned to ice, because for a second, just a second, the figure's face looked exactly like his. Then it was gone. The town had rules. They figured that out fast. 1, you couldn't leave. The roads looped back on themselves, no matter which direction they drove. 2, the shadows didn't like light. Matches worked, flashlights died within minutes. 3, the more afraid you got, the closer they came. And the worst part? The memories. Flashes of things they'd done, things they buried. Jack kept seeing a hospital room. A monitor flatlining, a hand slipping from his grip. "You let her die." The voice wasn't his. Father Callahan broke first. They found him in the church, kneeling at the altar, his hands clasped so tight his knuckles had split. "They're us," he whispered. "The shadows. They're what we could have been. What we almost were." Then he told them about the boy. 20 years ago. A confession booth. A kid sobbing about the things his father did to him. And Callahan had done nothing. He hung himself in his basement. The priest choked out. "I could have saved him." Outside, the church doors creaked open. Something whispered, "You still can." Callahan screamed until his voice gave out. When they found his body, his face was frozen in a smile, and his shadow was gone. Reynolds had a secret too. They found the files in the abandoned police station, reports of a drug bust gone wrong. A kid, barely 16, shot in the back. He was running, Reynolds had written. The security footage told a different story. That night, Reynolds walked into the street, his service revolver in his hand. "I know you're there," he roared at the darkness. "Come on out, you bastard." The shadows pulled at his feet, then stood up. It wore his face, his uniform, but its eyes were black pits, its mouth stretched too wide. "You've always wanted to know," it whispered. "Does it hurt to die like that?" The gunshot echoed through the empty town. Sarah remembered the overdose. The woman on the gurney, begging for help. The syringe in Sarah's hand. Just a little too much, she'd thought. No one would know. Now, trapped in the clinic's supply room, she could hear her shadow scratching at the door. "You killed her," it crooned. "Just like you killed your baby." Sarah's hands shook as she loaded the needle. One way or another, she wouldn't let it take her. Danny hadn't spoken since they got here. But the shadows knew. They showed him the locker room, the smaller boy, the laughter as Danny held him down. "You liked it," the shadows whispered. "You liked making him scream." Danny ran. The town let him. right up until the moment he tripped and his own shadow caught him. Jack was the last one. He stood in the middle of Main Street, the wind howling through the empty buildings. The shadows circled him. His father's voice, his mother's sobs, the hospital monitor's endless beep. "You pulled the plug," the shadows hissed. "You wanted the money." Jack fell to his knees, and then he laughed, because he finally understood. The town wasn't punishing them, it was rewarding them, giving them exactly what they deserved. The shadows closed in, and Jack welcomed them. The diner's lights flickered on, coffee steamed in untouched mugs, and at the counter 5 shadows sat, their faces flickering between human and something else. Outside, the wind carried the sound of tires screeching. A new group of strangers was about to wake up, and the hollow men were hungry.